Hi friends, today I'm going to start telling the Mahabharata, and today's video is gonna be the first episode. Let's begin. A long time ago, in the ancient lands of India, known as Bharatvarsha, a family quarrel grew into a bloody war. There had been wars before and wars since, but that mighty battle between the warring cousins of the Kuru clan has stood in the mythology and history of India. It depicts humility as much as courage, defeat as well as victory. It is the greatest story ever told. There are four cycles of time that rule our universe. In Sanskrit, they are called the four yugas. They are the Satya Yuga, the Treta Yuga, the Dwapara Yuga, and the Kali Yuga. The Mahabharata was fought at the very end of Dwapara Yuga, and the Pandavas retired their life seeking their place in hell or heaven when the Kali Yuga was starting. The Kali Yuga is the age and the Yuga of our mortal beings. And in the utmost core of the Mahabharata lies the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna and Arjuna discuss the big questions of life. So, let me start telling you the story. A long time ago, when goddesses Ganga came to the earth in a human form, her beauty was beyond belief. And King Santanu, the son of King Bharata, saw her and immediately fell in love with her. Probably Mahabharata started with King Bharata. After falling in love with goddesses Ganga, King Santanu conveyed his wish to her. But goddesses Ganga, who knew the consequences of marrying a mortal, refused. But after the continuous insistence and pleading from King Santanu, goddesses Ganga agreed. But she set up a few conditions. She told to King Santanu, "You must not ask, 'Who am I and where did I come from?' You must not judge my actions. You must not stop me from doing anything. You must not question me." King Santanu, who was madly in love with goddesses Gangara, agreed it immediately. Later, the couple married, and goddesses Ganga bore him a son. There was a lot of rejoicement in the kingdom. But to the utmost horror to King Santanu, goddesses Ganga took their first child and drowned it in the river Ganga, the river which bore her name. King Santanu was dumbstruck, but then he remembered the promise he made to goddesses Ganga that he mustn't stop her in doing anything. This continued until goddesses Ganga was about to drown the eighth child. King Santanu could not take it anymore. He snatched the wailing child from her arms and held it tightly. Goddesses Ganga looked sadly at King Santanu and said, "My dear king, I know my actions have brought pain and strife to you, but I had my own reasons to act, and as you have broken the promise, I have to leave. But before I leave, let me tell you why I intended to drown our children. A long time ago, 8 Vasus were passing through the mountains. There was a holy man called Vasistha, and he had a beautiful cow. In those 8 Vasus, one of the Vasus, named Prabhasa, loved his wife so dearly and would not tell no to her. She saw Vasistha's cow and wished to have it. So she told to her husband, "Can you please steal it for me?" Prabhasa asked the help of the other seven Vasus, and together they stole the cow and they moved forward as if nothing had happened. Vasistha, through his magical powers, got to know this and was furious. He cursed the eight Vasus that they would be born as a human being in the earth. Ganga stopped. Then she looked at Santanu sadly and told, "We immortals, the biggest punishment we mortals have is to be born as a mortal in the earth." And the same thing happened to the eight Vasus. They were depressed. And she continued, "The seven Vasus begged the pardon of sage Vashishta. Then sage Vashishta decided to soften the curse as he felt sorry for them. Then he told, "But remember, except Prabhasa, you seven will receive death immediately after your birth in the earth. But Prabhasa, who intentionally tried to steal my cow, will live a whole lifetime on earth and then return back to his place in the heaven." The seven Vasus were relieved. They rushed to me and asked me to be their mother and kill them immediately after their birth. So that's the reason why I killed our seven children. Saying this, Ganga disappeared, snatching the child from King Santanu's hand. King Santanu, for the rest of his days, was depressed. He went roaming around his palace, thinking about the good days with his mysterious wife. After some time, one day, he saw a boy playing with waves. That boy was building a dam with his arrows right in the middle of the river. He recognized that he was none other than his son. Then Goddess Ganga appeared before him, telling, "Yes, Santanu, he's our son." And she vanished. King Santanu got to know that his name was Devavrata, and he was being brought up in the heaven learning the arts of many fields. King Santanu called him and told, "My dear son, I'm your father. Would you like to live with me?" Then Devadatta was like, "Yes, father." And those both started living in the palace. One day, King Santanu was roaming near the palace. One day he saw and he smelled a very, very beautiful fragrance. He wanted to know from where did the fragrance come from. So he followed it. Then he saw a beautiful woman. He instantly fell in love with her, as he did for Goddess Ganga a few years back. He asked her, "My dear lady, what's your name? Who are you?" Then she replied, "My king, I am Satyavati. I am the daughter of the chief king of Chedi, the chief of the fishermen named Uparichara." Then the king asked her, "Will you marry me?" Satyavati then told, "My dear king, you asked my father Uparichara, and after he gives his permission, I would marry you." Saying this, Satyavati left. King Santanu went to the Chedi king Uparichara and asked his permission to marry his daughter Satyavati. Uparichara was pleased. Then he told, "My king, I'm very pleased to give my daughter to you, but on one condition. My daughter's sons and children should be the heir of the throne." King Santanu was dumbstruck. He had already made Devadrata as the king and the heir of his throne. He could not do injustice to his son, so he left the place quietly without telling anything. The following days, King Santanu was found Very sad, he could not forget the memories of Satyavati. Devadruta noticed this. He asked his father repeatedly. His father then told, "My dear son, you are my only son and you should be the head of the throne. I cannot do justice to you. I'm very sorry, I'm helpless." Devadutta was intelligent and not so fooled to be fooled by the words of King Santanu. He immediately went to his charioteer and inquired about his father. The charioteer told him the full story. Then Devadutta went to Uparichara and asked, "My dear king, I am ready that your daughter's children will be the heir to the throne." Uparichara was shocked to see a young man doing a big sacrifice for his father. Then, after some thought, he told, "My dear Devadratha, if you move aside, then what if you are a skilled archer and your children will attack my grandchildren and snatch the kingdom from their hands?" A man must be very careful in deciding his daughter's marriage. Devadratha thought for some time and then told, "Okay, my dear king, if you let my father marry your daughter, then I would promise that I would not marry and be as a Brahmin all my life." Uparichara was shocked at seeing a young man doing a big sacrifice. The gods who were up above heard him telling this and gave him the title Bhishma, the one who did a big sacrifice. And from then on till the end, he was being called as Bhishma. Then Bhishma left. King Santanu was overjoyed with his son's sacrifice. He told to his son, "Bhishma, I would like to give you a boon. Only when you wish for, death will come to you, and only with your permission will death to come to you." Saying this, Santanu left. So, this is our first episode. Be waiting for the second episode. Thank you. If you really like my video, then please do like, share, and subscribe.